Heart Awareness Month, and this month is dedicated to raising awareness about heart health, educating the public on heart-related conditions, and promoting ways to prevent cardiovascular disease. To guide us through this very important conversation, we have an expert with us who will help to demystify some of the complexities of the heart health, specifically focusing on heart failure, a condition that affects millions worldwide. We will explore the themes of Heart Awareness Month, understand what heart failure is, and learn about the types, symptoms, and even more. We are joined now live on Facebook and YouTube by Silvia Craucamp, who is from the Heart and Stroke, who is actually the Health Promotion Officer at the Heart and Stroke Foundation. Good morning, Silvia. Wonderful to have you on Urban Women.
Good morning, and thank you to the radio station for accommodating the Heart and Stroke Foundation South Africa and enlightening your listeners on this important topic that we will be speaking about, which is heart failure.
Indeed, a very important topic. And I think I can actually speak from a very personal experience right now, where my own mom didn't even know she had a heart issue. She thought she had the flu, went to the doctor. He says, I need you to go to the hospital. And 2 days later, we find out that she actually needs a quadruple heart bypass. So that came as a shocker. And I think it's so important for us to shed light on this very important topic, as it could happen to anybody. So we are so happy to chat with you, being an expert in this field. Tell us more about Heart Awareness Month and also some of the themes for this month as well.
Thank you for the question. So the Heart and Stroke Foundation South Africa, we dedicate the whole of September month to heart awareness. This is one of our key campaigns that we focus on for the year, and our aim is to make a significant impact of heart disease awareness. And through this campaign strategy, we also want to aim to reduce the burden of cardiovascular diseases, specifically in South Africa. Now, our phenomenal CEO, Professor Pamela Naidoo, together with other key stakeholders, have realized that the South African public does not fully understand the complexity of cardiovascular diseases. As a starting point, Prof. Naidoo conceptualized that the focus on heart failure has given many misconceptions about what exactly heart failure is. Consequently, for 2024, the Heart Awareness Month, primarily our theme is heart failure. And we're going to focus on the key risk factors that's associated to us. And we've broken this up into 4 themes over the next month, which week 1, we will focus on heart failure, what it is, and just delve a bit more into that. In week 2, we're going to focus on the causes of heart failure. Week 3, we're going to focus on the management of heart failure. And then, like in yourself with your mom's case, what is the next step once you've been diagnosed with heart failure? How do you live with this condition going forward? And then finally, in week 4, we will be focusing on diabetes type 2 and other risk factors associated with heart failure.
Yeah, there we go. So, I think many people will actually gain a lot of benefit from this information that you're going to be sharing, because over the weekend, I also went to visit somebody who actually has been diagnosed with heart failure as well. So leading on from the theme, Silvia, can you tell our listeners what heart failure exactly is?
So heart failure, or with us nurses in the medical field, the doctors, they normally would say to you, and they use these big medical words, they say, you've been diagnosed with congestive heart failure, which just means it's heart failure. But it is a serious condition, and that we need to understand, whereby the cardiac output is insufficient to meet your body's normal requirements. And those requirements are oxygen and nutrients. This does not mean, however, that the heart has stopped to work or completely failed. What this means is, during heart failure, the heart is not capable enough of coping with the workload and the demand that the body puts on it. When the heart does not pump sufficiently and it pumps insufficiently, this means your heart needs to beat faster, and gradually then this allows the heart to enlarge, and then allows the heart not to cope with the workload that it's got, and it then weakens your heart to such an extent that the amount of blood that needs to be pumped to the body has been or is restricted. So the circulation becomes sluggish, which then causes the excess fluid to be retained in your body. This then happens when the blood cannot deliver enough oxygen or nutrients to the rest of your body in order for it to allow your heart to work properly. Now, heart failure can damage your liver and or kidneys, and it could and may lead to other conditions, including pulmonary hypertension or any other heart conditions, such as an irregular heartbeat or heart valve diseases or sudden cardiac arrest, in other words, in plain English, heart attacks. Heart failure may occur suddenly with severe symptoms, and in the medical field, we call it acute heart failure, or the symptoms may appear slowly and gradually it will worsen, and we then in the medical field, we call this chronic heart failure.
So much information shared there to help us to understand what that actually means and the implications on the rest of the body as well, because the body obviously functions as a whole and not organ in isolation. Now, you mentioned a word, cardiac output. Could you please, for the benefit of our listeners, explain in layman's English what that is?
Certainly I will. Cardiac output is how many liters of blood your heart pumps in 1 minute. There's two important concepts that you need to be aware, and we're going to explain that. It is the stroke volume and it is the heart rate. Now, stroke volume is the amount of blood that your heart sends to your body in one heartbeat. This can vary, be based on how hard your muscles need to work in order for them to force and be able to push this blood through to the rest of your body. Now, stroke volume can go up or it can go down based on your heart health, whether you are resting or whether you are moving. So the heart rate is the number of beats per minute, and usually that is between 60 to 100 beats, and that should be a normal beat for you. Your heart rate can go up or it can go down, whether you're resting or exercising. Sometimes when you are exercising, your body is using more oxygen and you are going to need more oxygen. Now, at that time, your body can change its cardiac output by adjusting your heart rate and your stroke volume. Now, blood delivers oxygen to your cells, so you're going to need more cardiac output when your body is using more oxygen than usual.
Now, heart failure seems very complex. Are there different types of heart failure? And if there is, can you please elaborate on this for us?
Thank you for the question. It may sound complex because simple, our bodies are very complex. Structurally, your heart is divided into a left and a right side. The left side is responsible for sending blood to the body, which it receives from the lungs. And the right side is responsible for receiving the blood from the body and then sending it to the lungs to collect more oxygen. Now, heart failure types can be categorized into two categories. You get a left-sided failure and you get a right-sided failure. Your left-sided heart failure is when the lower part or the power of your left heart chambers is reduced, causing your left chambers to work harder to ensure that the same amount of blood is pumped through and pushed through your body. There are two types to this. Heart failure with a reduced ejection fraction. What this means is it's called the systolic heart failure. Now, systolic traditionally is synonymous with your first reading, the systolic reading, which is that higher number. It's got normally 3 numbers. If it's a healthy reading, it will be 120. Anything above that, 130, it obviously indicates that there's a problem. So that's what we call systolic, and that could be the heart failure on that side. That is where your left heart chamber does not have enough force to push the blood through into circulation. But then you also get the preserved ejection fraction, and this is called the diastolic heart failure. Now, this is the second number. This is normally a 2-digit number, which could be 80 or 90. So this is where your left heart chamber does not relax normally between the muscles, and the muscles then become stiff, and thus they are filling the chamber with blood which is impaired. In other words, it will hold less blood. Now, the right-sided heart failure is where the lower right chamber that needs to pump the blood to the lungs that cannot do those functions. So very plain and simple, we need to look after our hearts.
Plain and simple. Well said. We definitely do need to look after our hearts. Now, due to time, we're running out. Quickly, if you could share with us some of the symptoms that we can be on the lookout for.
Yes, very quick. Shortness of breath with activity or when you're lying down. A wheezing, a cough that doesn't go away, or when you are coughing, look at your sputum. If it's white or pink mucus with spots of blood, you need to take note there's a problem with your heart. Swelling in the abdomen, legs, ankles, or feet. How do you check for that? You take your thumb and you make an imprint, a simple imprint you would press. And if that indent stays there, it shows you that you are retaining fluid. Weight gain from fluid retention, fatigue, weakness or dizziness, rapid or irregular heartbeats, nausea, loss of appetite, increase to need to urinate at night when you go more than once or twice at night, and then obviously palpitations, and you will feel that in your chest cavity because it feels like your heart is climbing out of your chest.
Wow, thank you so much. I think that is so important that if we resonate with any of those symptoms, then we definitely go and get it checked out and pay more attention to our health. We need to wrap up, Silvia. It's been so wonderful chatting with you. May I ask for your take-home message, anything you'd like to share with our listeners as we end off?
Yes, the take-home message we would like to give to your listeners is we need to emphasize the crucial importance of understanding your risks. In other words, know your numbers. Know what is your blood pressure reading, know what is your blood glucose reading, know what is your blood cholesterol reading, and know what is your body mass index. If you know these numbers, you would certainly know that you are at risk or not. And then obviously the symptoms that we've given, take note of this. One last message to your listeners. It's the body that I need to live in for the rest of my life. It gives me those warning signs. I need to pay attention when my body gives it to me. Seek medical advice, whether you go to your private doctor, to the local hospitals if you stay dependent, or to the ER, but listen to your body.
Listen to your body. Your body is always talking to you. Absolutely. Living consciousness, living awareness. Thank you so much, Sylvia. Absolutely wonderful. You've shared such valuable information with us because the heart is such an important organ and our body is so special. We only have one. Until we connect again, do have yourself a lovely day further. Bye for now. And
Thank
that
you,
was
and thank you for
Silvia
having us.
Craucamp, who's the Health Promotion Officer at the Heart and Stroke Foundation, chatting with us about Heart Awareness Month. You know, sometimes we do take our health for granted and we think it's always going to be there to support us, but only when something happens do we realize how we could have or perhaps the guilt comes in of how we should have lived differently in a healthier way. So inshallah, before we get to that point, hope you heard some of those symptoms and try and nip it in the bud. And remember, listen to your body, know your numbers, and stay healthy, inshallah. Let's go for a break. I'll be back with you thereafter.
Urban Woman, sponsored by Vada Gold Gem Jewelers.